Hello and welcome to the Bravas Luxury Living Podcast. Every time on the Luxury Living Podcast, we try and talk about those issues that are important to anyone creating a modern technology-based home. If this is the first time you found us at the Luxury Living Podcast, or you found us again and you did that by surprise, please try and like and share and do all those things that you would normally do to make sure you can find those podcasts that you like and you love. And it's also helpful for us to get other people to know about us, because that's how the systems work. With me, as ever, is Keith. Hello, Keith. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Nigel. How are
Great.
you doing?
So this time we're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects, which is light. And we have with us to talk about light from Lutron, Jay Williams, Residential Business Development. Jay, you're with Ketra rather than Lutron, or Lutron and Ketra. Explain to us all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, good morning, both of you. Very happy to be here with you guys. But Ketra is actually part of the Lutron family. Lutron actually acquired Ketra back in 2018. And so I do work for Lutron, but my day-to-day and everything that I wake up and think about is all about Ketra lighting and how people can experience the best lights.
And how did you get to Ketra?
Well, I'd have to say it's been a little bit of a journey. Certainly, I've actually been a longtime Lutron employee, been with Lutron just about 9 years now. I actually originally started with Lutron in Las Vegas for a very short stint before I moved to Los Angeles, where I focused on specification and was a territory manager. Then moved to London to work with our residential team over in the UK. And just about a year ago, moved to Austin just before the pandemic. So great timing on my part to be moving to a new city. And now all I do is really primarily focus on Ketra.
Well, we're very happy to have you in Austin, even if we're not allowed to see you. In case somebody hasn't been following along, and we had Celia Ramos on one of the early podcasts we did. Who is Ketra and what do you do? So let's make sure we get that right first.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ketra, we're a luminaire company. We offer a wide breadth of portfolio for customers in order to deliver you various different types of light sources so that you can experience things such as natural dimming, natural light coming into your homes, and really creating these beautiful light experiences that are really an extension of the Lutron HomeWorks control system. So we really focus on an entire lighting system.
So for those people who, haven't been following along, there is a significant difference, isn't there, between the LEDs, the LED lights that you buy at Home Depot for $5 or whatever it is, and a real high quality LED bulb. Talk a bit about what that difference is.
Absolutely, and that's something that we do on a daily basis here at Ketra, and really we get a lot of wide variances of experiences and knowledge. And when you look at a standard LED that you purchase off a shelf, certainly LEDs have definitely come quite a long ways over time, where you can actually get an okay light output at full on. But once you want to do anything to try to create an intimate space in your home, that's where those types of lighting experiences really start to fall apart. And that's really where Ketra sets itself apart. And we have various different technologies that allow you to really kind of reinstate this beautifulness and against warmth and coziness that people want to have in their homes. And that can come from things like natural dimming, natural light, and a couple other various options that we do have as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big misses with LEDs was they were very cold and just a low quality of light, and everybody missed that incandescent light. So you feel like Ketra, you can really bring that incandescent glow and feel back to the house?
Absolutely. We do that as a basic function out of the different types of lights that we do have, and we call that natural dimming, which is really reinstating that incandescent-like experience and dialing in the romance with that rotary dimmer that some of us did so many years ago. And that's one of the basic pieces that you get out of a Ketra light source as a standard.
I'm excited to have Ketra as an option because we had a client who really, really loved that warm incandescent light, had grown up in Europe. And so she was like, I wanted to look like a castle. I want to just have that low, dark light. And I swear we bought 30 light bulbs and tried them out in that house before we found one that would dim low enough that she said, okay, fine, I'll accept an LED, because that's what it was. Like, you were just accepting this is probably as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's certainly no reason to shortchange things in the beautiful homes that our customers have. And while I mentioned certainly natural dimming is one aspect that gives you that incandescent-like feel, but we can also dim as low as an incandescent and really get that super ultra low light level that people want to give you that sense of relaxation. And in fact, our light sources can actually give you the warmth that would actually rival a candlelight. So even think about maybe when you went on a family vacation and you were going camping, possibly sitting around the fire or maybe a bonfire at the beach, and just that kind of atmosphere that warmth gives you is so uniquely different. Actually, we even take it a step further because of LEDs allowing us to have so much capability in the technology, is that we actually do something called natural light, which allows you to have different variances, because you wouldn't necessarily want to have that fire-like atmosphere right in the middle of the day. So we can actually take and give you that warmth in the evening that you would want, but then also cool off and make the lighting brighter for you in the middle of the day, where you really need to be having that energized light that allows you to focus in on things too.
Yeah, I think that's probably a big misconception with LEDs is most people think that 5,000 Kelvin light is really, really blue and unnatural. But in the middle of the day, it actually looks really good. It's just at night when it becomes this really, really harsh, discomforting light. And it is amazing that with Ketra, you can kind of get that full range of, you can have your light match what's happening in the outside world, which I'm sure has a lot of wellness benefits, but also just it makes the house look better when it feels like the light from outside is coming all the way to the core of the home. That's one of the biggest things I noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's something that's core at what we do every day with our natural light show is having that type of capability. Because certainly, if you think about in the evening or even in the early mornings, right? Like you're kind of let's just talk about morning time, for instance. And you're getting out of bed, you're getting ready. You're probably not fully awake just yet. And you actually want still a fairly low light level, like a fairly dim low light level, and you still want that warmth. And then as you're getting ready for your day, you would want your lighting to help you kind of get awake and aware and prepped. And so with our lighting, we can actually as well autonomously in the background, without even somebody thinking about it, gradually raise the lighting in intensity and then actually gradually cool off the lighting, so that then as you're getting prepared to get ready to leave for your day, you're actually already ready to go. And that's something that's what we define as beautiful light at Ketra, is really giving you the right type of light at the right time of day.
So I want to get a bit down into the practicalities here, because I think one of the challenges for many people is when they first come across this technology, it can sound a bit all or nothing. So it's going to be like, I do my whole house or I do nothing. So, and I think one of the things you can do is it's not an all or nothing thing, really. You can do this room by room. And I wonder whether you could talk about how you retrofit some of this technology and then where you might start to do that.
Absolutely. And I have to completely agree with you. Many people see this new types of technology and things that you do with LEDs, and many people believe that you have to do it as a new construction project. But something that makes Ketra quite unique is, again, our breadth of portfolio that we have. And we have a variety of different types of lamps that we offer. So for instance, something that's as simple as a regular Edison 820 lamp that you would screw into a table lamp or a floor lamp, or even maybe one of your decorative pendants that you have in your kitchen or over your kitchen island. And then many customers today still have 5-inch cans where they have these, what's commonly known as like a floodlight, for instance. You can actually take these Ketra lamps, get all of the benefits that we had just kind of previously highlighted, and be able to take the light source and screw it into the ceiling. And what makes it additionally so powerful is that it's incredibly simple to use. So you can take that older wiring in your home, but because of the older wiring, you're not having to sacrifice in being able to get the latest in technology that's out there.
Because the Ketra system works wirelessly, communicates wirelessly to the lamps.
Correct. Yep. So the Ketra being the light source itself, the backbone is the Lutron Homeworks system. And so it wirelessly communicates to the controls. And so the button press on the wall is completely wireless to the actual lamp itself.
So which room would you do first? If you had to do one room yourself in the house to test this, where would you start?
Well, I would say it really kind of be one of two different areas. There's certainly the bedroom application, certainly, and then along with your living room and family room area. Those would probably be the two primary areas that if you're going to be retrofitting into a space, those are usually the most common areas that people are spending most of the time. So you'd use it in those.
So talk about the bedroom first. What would you do? How would you use light like that in the bedroom?
So in the bedroom, the natural light show that we had talked about would probably be the most used application to start. So as I'd mentioned previously with how you can ramp from, let's just say, for instance, it's 50% dimmed lighting for you, and you have this nice warmth, kind of similar to a candlelight in the morning as you wake up. And then as you get out of bed, you go into your bathroom suite, go take a shower, and then your lights are starting to slowly ramp up for you, so that by the time you get out of your shower and you're getting changed, that lighting becomes even brighter for you and cooler, really starting to kind of energize you to go out and continue throughout the rest of the home and kind of tackle the day ahead of you. But also in the evening, as you're coming home, changing maybe into changing out of your suit, whatever it might be, the lighting is it's still that cool, bright, because you're still in the middle of the day. But as it's slowly getting into the evening, over a 2-3 hour period, whatever you would like, it actually starts to slightly warm up for you. So you can actually start to feel this sense of relaxation and calming. That then eventually it gets dim enough and warm enough that as you get ready for bed, it automatically changes for you dynamically. Other ways that lighting would be used in that sense is that, so say for instance, you're cleaning, you could hit an energize button, and then that way it comes to a full brightness on, a really cool bright white light, again allowing you to be able to focus in on whatever you might be doing. Like I mentioned, cleaning, for instance, could be an application for that. Or let's just say you wanted to relax in the evening, you could hit that button and it gets really dim for you, really warm, and really just being able to allow you to wind down.
And I guess that's sort of the entertainment section as well. I mean, we love it in our lounge when at nighttime the warmer colors come on. It's much more relaxing, and it's, you can watch television and you sense the change around you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I kind of like to think about if you went on a romantic evening with your loved one or significant other, and the lights are usually very, very warm, really dimmed down, and it gives you that sense of relaxation.
So I think in my personal house, I would probably go for my office first because I've been working from home recently, and so I spend maybe from 7 a.m. to sometimes 9 p.m. in that one room. Is that a good kind of way to think about the benefits of Ketra?
Absolutely. So in an office application, I mean, certainly in today's day and age with everybody having to work from home, certainly I know I've been working from home quite a bit, getting the right type of light in those environments where you do have to stay focused, and sometimes you have to stay focused in the late evenings, being able to make sure that your lighting is just right as to how you need it is really a key portion of that. As well in a couple different applications. So say for instance, like during a presentation, for instance, especially during things like this, like a Zoom call, for instance, you could hit a presentation button and it actually warms up your lighting. You also can see that like your skin tone colors as well, they begin to warm up even more. So being able to have that type of ease of dynamic lighting at just a button press is incredibly important. Also as well, one other application would be, for instance, say you're watching a Zoom call or something and you're not necessarily participating on it, but you want to just focus in on the screen, you can hit media and it'll dim the lights down for you and really make sure that it's got the right kind of low ambient light level for you to be able to focus in on the screen, but more importantly, not actually fatigue your eyes.
Yeah, I find that to be a huge deal personally. Glare from lighting is one of the things that just really, really bothers me. And I know a lot of people don't know if it bugs them, or maybe it doesn't bother them at all, or they just haven't ever recognized it. But I cannot enjoy myself like watching TV with the overhead lights on if they're in the wrong position. It's just a really frustrating experience. And I feel like we've just gotten to the point where with lighting, we just accept whatever's around us and assume that it can't be improved on. But once you realize what does work for you, like I have a Lutron system in my house, not with Ketra, but once you learn what works for you, it's amazing how much influence that can have on how much you enjoy the spaces you're in.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, lighting is such a big portion of our lives. I mean, we wouldn't be able to live our lives without light, realistically. And it's something that in a home, it does get taken for granted. And there's been so many years that people have lived with just on and off switches, and dimming at a basic level adds so much to the intimacy and the functionality of the home. As you had mentioned, especially if you have media rooms, I mean, you do not want to see glare on your screens, and actually in front of computer monitors, you don't want to see glare off your computer monitors. It's incredibly distracting and frustrating. So getting a lighting system that allows you to be able to control that easily, incredibly important.
So this may seem an overly simplistic question, but I was looking at not a Ketra system, and it was a bulb from another provider. And it said, look, you can specify all these colors and all these temperatures. And it struck me that I have no idea what a good color is for my life or a good temperature. How does a normal person end up working out what the right colors and temperatures are?
Absolutely. So we do have a wide variety of different color temperatures and colors, certainly, that come out of Ketra light sources. But the way that you end up kind of finding the right color temperature is actually by being in the space in both the morning and the midday and adjusting the color temperature. And you can actually do that really easily in the app that we have. And you will just kind of know as an individual. Individuals all have slightly different preferences. So for instance, like myself, during the day, I like my lighting right around about 3,800 Kelvin, which is a specific color temperature. But in the evenings, I myself really like about 2,600 Kelvin, whereas somebody else may like something that's not as warm as that. And it's really based upon a preference. But the key here is that you have a control system that allows you to be able to easily choose and pick exactly what you want to be able to do with it.
I think the other important thing to talk about is just how the color temperature, the quality of the light, but also the amplitude of the light, I guess the brightness of the light, how that works together. Like as you're warming up that light in the evenings, but also dimming it down, that combination is what really gives you that ability to start relaxing and the cues that your body needs to kind of know it's time to shut things down and get ready for bed. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why that natural dimming aspect is so important, because there are studies that are based around, what is too cool at certain dim levels and what's too warm at certain high brightness levels. And so being able to have a system that takes account for all of that is incredibly important for you to be able to enjoy your day-to-day living in your home.
So you showed us some of the bulbs, and so if I understand it correctly, Ketra, you either buy the bulbs and put them into existing fittings, or you can buy fixtures from Ketra. Do they have the same bulbs in? How does that work? What's the difference between buying, fixtures and bulbs?
So when you buy a fixture, it's really kind of a completed solution with an actual trim itself, plus the actual lamp that we'd talked about previously. So we actually have retrofit housings. So if you need to add extra lighting in your home, which is not uncommon in retrofit, where you might need to add a couple extra lights in order for you to get more overall lighting in the home, you can do that. We have solutions for that. Also, for instance, if you do have track lighting in your home, we actually do have purpose-built track heads from Ketra, so that if you really want to dial in the beam spreads and get really tight beam spreads, for instance, for things like artwork in particular, or accenting other decorative pieces or collections that you might have, we have various different types of solutions for that. And then in new construction, if you went down that way, we do have architectural grade lighting as well.
But in the new construction, is there a big difference between the fixture from somebody else and the fixture from Ketra if you put a Ketra bulb in them, both of them?
So it's going to have to come down to the fit and finish and the actual aesthetic. So we make sure that in the products that we produce that they are color matched, they're recessed higher up into the ceiling to help reduce things like glare. And so they're really, really purpose built for the actual lights themselves.
And I think your architectural fixture is like a 3-inch aperture. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. So if you go to our architectural grade ones, it does have a smaller aperture to it. It does allow you to have a lot more adjustability to it, and you do have more color options to really come out with a bespoke solution for your application. But it's definitely a slightly different tiers than a retrofit type of single lamp.
Yeah, that difference when you see it installed in a ceiling, like I was confused about that for a long time, but when you see those architectural grade fixtures with, as you said, that really recessed lamp, the purity of the light and the lack of glare, again, it's one of those things you don't know that you don't like it until you've seen it done right. And it's such a huge difference, just with the quality of light that feels and just how luxurious it feels in the space.
Yeah, it's nothing like helping to make your light sources really disappear in the ceiling. So if you go to that extra level, you get a very, very clean aesthetic out of it, certainly.
So I was thinking about, for those of us who live in apartments, maybe rather than large houses, can we do our living rooms? Can we do, is there a benefit to doing it to one large area, or do you really need to do the whole property?
I would certainly say, while I would love everybody to do their entire property, certainly it can be a little bit of a project to chew off at first. But, if you just want to get the Ketra experience and do it in a small area to start, you can absolutely do that. There's quite a few people that do that. They see and they understand certainly what Ketra does and offers. But getting it in there and living with it really is a whole other experience in itself. So if you have the opportunity, even in a small space, to be able to do it, I would strongly encourage it.
Yeah, and I think we're going to put some packages together at Bravas to help clients do the first room, the first 1 and 2 rooms, to really accelerate their in. But they have to have the right control system, don't they? So you talked a bit about that. What do people need to control something like Ketra? Is it an app on their phone? Is it talk a bit more about that side of it?
Great question. So while I mentioned Ketra is the luminaire side, so being the lamp or the downlight, the way that Ketra works is that it's really an extension of the HomeWorks control system. So in order to bring all of this stuff together, you do need to have a brain that speaks the native language with Ketra, which is what HomeWorks does. And then as far as a control perspective, it's a keypad on the wall. So you could do something simple like a little 4-button keypad with something like natural, energize, entertain, and away. And that would allow you to be able to easily interact with the most common scenes that you would tend to wake up with, press that button, and expect your lights to go to the expected levels. And then from an app perspective, the app gives you the full functionality of controlling, editing, changing the Ketra light sources and being able to do that type of thing with ease.
One of the things that amazes me is that we go to some luxury homes where we're still having to convince people to do some level of lighting control. And I think it doesn't take many lights in a room before, half the wall is covered in switches. I don't think some people get that when this is done right, not every light has a switch anymore, does it?
Nope, not at all. Yeah. So we call it wall acne at Lutron. And that's, think of that bank of switches like you had mentioned where you might have 4 or 5 switches. I've been in, unfortunately, projects where I've seen 14 switches on a wall. And it's not only a big eyesore, but it's incredibly frustrating from a use perspective because half the time you don't know what each light switch actually does. But with a Lutron control system controlling Ketra lights, you can actually just have a single keypad right there on the wall, eliminate all of that so you can actually gain back your wall space, get the aesthetics back that give a really nice clean finish in your home as well.
And if somebody doesn't like the idea of a keypad, I did see one house where they had maybe a 2-foot tall, 18-inch wide wooden plaque that they'd put a false door in. And when you opened it, there were maybe 24 switches behind it to control a room. So, there's always that option if if you are low tech.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to go that direction, you certainly could. Lots of flexibility there.
Although Lutron's been investing in some very good-looking, switches and plates and controls, then we sense maybe from walking around Home Depot that these are all very plasticky and feel like they're going to break. But that's not the experience of some of the higher-end keypads, is it?
No, not at all. So we have quite a few different keypad solutions. We have things that are called like a Pico keypad, which is a battery operated keypad that can be custom engraved to your preference, going all the way up to our Palladium and our newest keypad line called Elise that do have truly bespoke finished metal finishes to them, various different button configurations that you can choose from, along with being able to get things like true backlighting so that then you can actually understand it. It's very intuitive to know exactly what scene you've pressed and what lights are on.
Yeah, I'd say our clients don't have to touch their keypads as much as your average homeowner, like once they have a Lutron system. But if you do ever have to touch your keypad and it's one of those metal Palladium or Elise keypads, it's a fantastic experience. Like it is just one of the few things in your house you actually physically interact with, that we're still using really cheap plastic, even in really nice homes. So it is nice to have an option that feels in place in that type of a home.
Absolutely, certainly. Aesthetics and the actual button presses themselves, we spend an enormous amount of money in regards to making sure that that's really, truly what our luxury clients are looking for.
So the biggest problem I have with Ketra, and I don't have many problems with it, the biggest problem I have is, here's my biggest problem. You have to see this to believe it. I mean, Keith and I and you can spend till the end of the week talking about this, but you have to experience. And, COVID hasn't helped us here, but you guys have some very interesting experiences, both virtual and we hope, again, one day soon physical, to help people experience this, don't you?
We certainly do. We've actually, that is certainly a challenge. Lighting control is certainly something very difficult to just purely explain in these types of podcasts or video podcasts. But we actually have spent quite a bit of money in regards to doing virtual experiences out of 3 different facilities that Lutron has. One being the Austin facility here, and we do it in what we call our collaboration studio. And then we also do these experiences out of both of our New York facilities, both our Global Experience Center and our Residential Experience Center. And those experiences, even though it is like the best way to experience Ketra is in person, but actually these virtual demonstrations do a really great job of walking people through what does bad LED lighting look like, how does Ketra operate, and what does natural dimming mean, what does natural light mean. One thing we didn't talk about was actually how Ketra can actually kind of give a new filter and kind of give a facelift to people's homes through things like vibrancy, where we can help to make the materials in your home actually pop for you and give them new life. So wood grains, marble countertops, soft treatments like drapery and pillows, we can actually help enhance all of the colors that are in your home just by simply using our light sources. And those virtual demonstrations do an incredible job of being able to walk people through that.
Yeah, we actually have a painting in our showroom in Dallas with Ketra light pointed at it. And when you switch from natural to vibrancy mode, the colors appear to actually move on the canvas. Like it's just such a huge shift in which colors stand out that it actually looks like it's moving while it fades from natural to vibrancy. It's really incredible to see.
Absolutely. It makes the colors pop. It makes it makes you be able to focus in on the painting even more. It can bring new life to paintings. It's really, really incredible to see what that technology does.
And by the way, you mentioned it, but it's also true of wood floors and countertops. Mm-hmm. And you see these things in showrooms that are perfectly lit, and you get them home and you go, oh, it didn't look like that in the showroom. And the answer is, it's exactly the same. You just don't have it lit properly.
Exactly. And that's why we say it's enhancing really the materiality of the home, because it's able to be used in so many different ways. And really is really quite impactful. Interior designers in particular really love using this because we can help make those material choices and look exactly how they want. And same thing with architects.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think one of the fun uses of Ketra, maybe not the first place you would use it in your house, but I know we have people using it in closets so that they can see what their outfit would look like at different times of day. I think that's such a fun, unique use of a technology like this.
Absolutely. Well, actually, one of the funny things as well is that, Ketra is available, or like we use it both in residential along with commercial. And we've actually had retail clients where they actually outfit their dressing rooms with Ketra so that they can actually see, to your point, like for instance, a dress and see what that dress looks like at different times of day. Or if you're in a suit, like what that looks like in a different time of day. So you have a lot of different uses for that.
I can tell you one of the first rooms I saw was a closet that I think was in a huge house, and clearly the lady of the house really liked her shoes and handbags, and they had their own closet. And let me tell you, I have been to museums that were not as well lit as this closet. And, it was particularly calling out these individuals. It was an amazing sight. Listen, we at Bravas are excited to work with our clients. We'd love to do your whole house, but if it's just one room, let's get going, try some of this stuff. The entry point is probably not as high as people think when we get into one room, and we'd love at Bravas to work that with any one of our clients interested. But before we let you go, Jay, we play our three-question game. I think you've had some forewarning of this. If not, we'll see how good you are thinking on your feet. Question one of our game is there a piece of home technology that you think you could not live without?
Man, I went back and forth on this one as to whether this was really truly home technology or not. But I'm a big foodie. I love cooking. And actually, I'd have to say my Yoder smoker is probably my favorite home technology because it has all this app control capabilities to it. I can control the heat, look at exactly what temperature the meat's at, control it remotely. I would have to say that's something that I probably love the most in my home.
Well, that's just
otherwise, I'd say my Lutron shades.
Yeah, well, other than your Lutron shades, but just as well you came to live in Texas, because now you can, smoke all year round. Being Ketra, you must have seen some amazing jobs. Is there one that particularly stands out to you that was the biggest wow one?
So I in particular can think of one project in California where it was an enormous extension to actually already a large home in itself. And it really posed many different challenges of being able to have a solution that worked with the existing home along with the extension. And then to add a little extra flavor in there, there was about 5 new buildings that got built on the same piece of property. And the owner wanted to make sure that all of those buildings were able to be used together and have them be completely seamless. And so that's something that really gives us the power and the flexibility with the Lutron Homework system. And we're able to really implement that quite well and easily, actually, in order to be able to give you that type of control on that size of property.
All right, and then I guess the last question from us is there a piece of technology that has yet to be invented you would like us to spend our evenings working on for you?
Well, I'd have to say I'm a fan of sci-fi movies, and I still am enamored by these movies where we see these holographic computer screens, holographic computers, that just pop up out of nowhere. I think that would be an incredible technology to actually make a reality at some point in time. And I know if it came out, I would definitely be purchasing it.
Well, I think that sounds like something we'd all enjoy. Listen, Jay, thank you very much. Thank you for Ketra and Lutron for your support. And we're excited to get working on some of this with our customers, big or small.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again. Appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking with you all.